Ready? We have a roll call, please.
Yes, good evening, Joe Connors,
Present.
Ron Rogalski,
Present.
Dave Madanowski,
Present.
Bill Tappan,
Here.
Oz Arundel, Glenn Arundel, Oz, no Oz, Monty Roberts,
Here.
Ted Wellman,
Here.
Brandon Borneman,
Present.
Andrew Carmichael,
Absolutely.
Lisa Gabriel, Brent Hibbert, no Brent, Andy Loringer, or Matt Connor, Marion Glaser, no Marion, but we do have Ruth D'Amico, the new district ranger. Welcome, Ruth. Colton Lipka,
Here.
and Sarah Aspens.
Was here earlier.
She was here earlier. I don't see her on the screen. And then I'm Jack Blackwell. I'm here.
All right, we have a quorum. Do we have a motion for approving the minutes of the last meeting?
So move. Second.
Any changes or additions?
No.
Hearing none, the minutes will stand as written. Approved as written. Agenda changes. Anybody want any changes to our agenda? Hearing none, the agenda will stand as written. Public comment. Hearing none, we'll have this meeting done quickly. So, Ms. Lipton.
Hey, I'll try to be quick too. Yeah, my name is Sue Liebenson, and I going to give you guys a quick presentation about the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. I work with Alaska Trails, and we are working with Division of Parks to put together this plan. It is a plan that the state puts together every 5 years, and it is required in order to qualify for certain federal funds. And I am going to attempt to share my screen. And as I do, let's see, sorry. Yeah, what I was about to say is feel free to interrupt me at any point if you have questions. So I'll just go ahead and walk through this. Can people see this or not, or?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So yeah, so this is, like I said, we're in the process of putting together the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. Goes by the acronym SCORP, if you hear anyone mention that. And like I said, it is required every 5 years in order for the state to qualify for certain federal funds, but we have bigger dreams. So why won't it go to the next slide? Come on. Here we go. So as I mentioned, it is statewide. It serves as a guide for public outdoor recreation in all kinds of both urban, rural neighborhoods, cities, all regions. And so it both will have themes in terms of, you know, what are the needs for Alaska outdoor recreation? What are our aspirations? And then also some specifics on projects that folks are going to recommend. Why does this plan matter to Alaskans? I would imagine this body would agree that we have underinvested in outdoor recreation in Alaska. So this round in working, getting this document together, we really want to be able to make a strong case for better investment and better support for outdoor recreation, both for existing facilities that need maintenance and new facilities that are in demand. In order to do that, we're going to pull together and share facts on what's the state of demand for outdoor recreation in Alaska, and what's our capacity look like compared to that. We're going to include examples, although there will be time after the plan is written this year. There's still time in that 5-year period to come up with new priority projects, but we want to include examples of, the type of projects that we think are important. And like I keep saying, this will ensure that we are eligible, the state of Alaska is eligible for what are called Land and Water Conservation Fund, federal monies. And hopefully it will also be compelling enough to enable the outdoor recreation community to seek funds from other sources, both federal, state, and private donors. I'll keep going until someone has a question. So, why do we need this? Again, it's a chance to pull together, well, first of all, to be eligible for certain funding, but also to pull together a document that will be compelling to advocate for increased funding, to, again, identify some high value projects, and then hopefully to better build coalitions among what are often disparate members of the outdoor recreation community. So by having everyone work on this together, I keep referencing the Land and Water Conservation Fund. So just to clarify that specific pot of funding, it is a federal program and it provides matching grants that come to the state. So of course, in our case, Alaska. And so the state can accept it. It can also pass through to local governments. And the monies are, again, to be matched and then used for development of outdoor recreation sites and facilities. It's a 50% match. And the money on the federal side comes from Outer Continental Shelf oil and gas lease receipts. They do not have to be in Alaska. And as I mentioned earlier, it is updated every 5 years. And you can look at it and you can say, well, it doubles our investment. So if the state of Alaska puts up $1 and it's matched by these federal funds, then you get $1. So there you go. And one thing, to keep in mind, Alaska has not always done we have not maxed out on our potential, right? We don't always put up enough money, matching funds, to get the federal funds we could. So that is certainly something that is a potential increase in funding for outdoor recreation. And also we anticipate increased funding, both with the Land and Water Conservation Funds and Great American Outdoors Act, providing that. So it should increase what's available in Alaska for these matching funds. So this next slide is just to give a sense of the range of types of projects that have been funded under this method in the past. So not so much to search for what's on this map, but maybe just to look on the side there, and you can just see it's everything from playgrounds and ball fields to campgrounds and trails, restrooms, public use cabins. So it's very, very broadly defined, what facilities qualify for outdoor recreation funding. And this is just kind of back up our case at how big the outdoor recreation economy is. Often, I don't think, very well recognized. It's hundreds of billions of dollars. Nationally, in Alaska, there are estimates that there are annual spending tied to outdoor recreation is $4.5 billion. There's hundreds of millions of dollars that then come to local and municipal governments through taxes and bed taxes and fees and whatnot associated with outdoor recreation. One gentleman I work with really likes this little fact that if we got people to stay one more day, and I guess he assumes you're going to do something outside, you could generate an additional $137 million in Alaska annually. And this is all well and good, but of course we still have a big backlog of maintenance and demand. So, brings a lot of money into the economy, and there's a good argument that we should be doing a better job of funding the facilities that back all this up. So the process of putting this together, there have been both statewide advisory team and regional working groups that have spent a lot of time already thinking about this document, both thinking again about generally broad themes of approaches that make sense for Alaska, and then regional working groups that are focusing on local projects and local needs. And one idea that is coming forward is, or will be presented, is that outdoor life in Alaska, outdoor recreation, outdoor heritage is such a big part of Alaska way of life that it really deserves its own office, its own, a centralized office, which has the responsibility of really focusing on making these things happen. So that is one thing that's under consideration. And like I said, the bottom line for all this work is to make a strong case for increased outdoor recreation investments. Along the way, we should be able to build stronger coalition. And I'm going to talk a little bit later on about some database work as well to get more information. So that's a little bit about the process of putting this document together. As I mentioned, there are regional working groups, and here are the chairs or facilitators of those groups. And you can see on the Kenai, I'm not going to misstate Jessica's last name, but she is listed. And we'll keep moving here. So on the data side, we've got a couple interesting things that we're taking advantage of while we put this together. One is improved and detailed mapping, GIS mapping. So to get a strong sense of for outdoor areas that are the outdoor recreational use, what facilities are there, everything from restrooms to trails and so on. So we should really improve the mapping and also create a standard for mapping. So local entities, whatever municipalities, boroughs, as they do their mapping, can use a similar structure. And so over time, hopefully be able to have better information that's shareable. We will hopefully fairly shortly are putting out a public survey to the general public, more like a poll or the kind of thing you get a phone call, and just to get a sense of what are people doing for outdoor recreation, what are their barriers, how do they feel about facilities, how do they feel about funding. So that is pretty close to being ready to go out in the field, as they say. And in addition, we're going to do a survey just for land managers to get a sense of how they've, what their priorities are and, where they see things going. And then the commerce survey is, we intend to survey business owners that are in the outdoor recreation business industry. So, and then the last one at the top is this mobile anonymized aggregated data. And that is a fancy way of saying, I'll show you another slide. We have got data on where people's cell phones have been, and not who, but just kind of the mass picture. And I'll show you a slide, an example. And using that data, you can get a lot of information about how often and how much use different places get and where the people using an area come from. So here we have, I will try to make this bigger. Sorry, just go to the. So this is an example from the Chena Fairbanks area. And so, sorry for floating that around, but what all these dots here are cell phones. And this is just a screenshot. And then what they are able to do with all this data is to show, and it's interesting, I guess, because we've got before and after COVID. So, because there has been some change in people's use of outdoors associated with COVID. So we've got 3 years of data, And we'll be able to say, so all these dots here, not surprisingly, it's close to Fairbanks. So about half of them are from Fairbanks. But they're from other areas too. And so it just gives some very interesting data about who's using what areas, and you can also track more different types of information of times a year and that kind of thing. So anyhow, that's just a different kind of data review that is going to go into informing this document. And I'm going to pick up the pace here. We're almost done. So the goals, again, there's been the statewide advisory group working on it, is, to really grow opportunities for outdoor life in Alaska, recognizing that outdoor recreation is very important to the economy, also very important to attracting people to live and work in Alaska, right? By making Alaska an attractive place to be. It's important to the health of Alaskans, and at the same time, there needs to be a sustainable base for all this funding for all this activity. And so we've had a lot of public input and more to come, hopefully from you guys as well. Again, we've had these statewide group, regional working groups. I mentioned already the surveys that are upcoming. And then we should have a public draft of this ready August 7th. And we're looking forward to getting as many comments as possible on that draft. So I can share a link if you want to be updated on when that is available. And if you have any recommendations on other groups or folks that I should reach out to kind of let them know this is underway, I'm very interested in that. And again, this just gives you a sense of the timeline of what's been going on, put this together. But again, the part that's probably most of interest is August 7th to September 23rd is the public review when we get this draft out. And there you go. And thanks. I can provide my name. I know Pam's got it as well. If people have questions or, any further follow-ups.
Sue, I had a couple of questions I'd like to, thank you for your presentation. I have a couple of questions. One is, you say you've got a working group. Is that a working group in every area, like on the Kenai?
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm sorry.
Sue gave this presentation last night
Oh.
For the Kachemak Bay Advisory Board, and same question came up, but there's a working group for the Kenai Peninsula with various land managers, stakeholders provided input. So it would be a good opportunity when the board reconvenes next September that might be at the first meeting, to take a look at this list. It's quite timely since we were talking about needs earlier at the committee level. So that may be something we could certainly add some of those concerns or recommendations to the list.
Did I understand that the public comment period ends sometime in September, Sue? Is that right?
Yeah, so right now it's set for August 7th to the 23rd, but you can make comments sooner too, or input sooner. So what we're doing is putting together this draft of this whole plan, and then we're going to go out looking for public comment on that. So yeah, August 7th to the 20th. I mean, it's basically, I kind of question it myself. It seems like, aren't people busy hunting then? But
Well, the question I had is, I'm trying to see a mechanism for this board to review and comment on the draft. We don't meet until the second week of September. So we're going to work quickly on that and able to meet the deadlines if the 23rd is the closing date. So.
Well, I can, if I get the board, if I can get your email, I can just send it to you all individually or whatever works. So you guys have it in advance or,
Yeah, well, what happens is if the board doesn't meet during the summer, our members are off running around doing recreational things.
absolutely.
And we get into that and we don't want to miss the opportunity to comment on it. So we'll work with Jack to make sure that we get copies as quickly as possible so we can have an opportunity to comment on this. Any other board members have anything they'd like to say or comments they'd like to make to Sue?
I think that would be good if Pam could give us the site for the report that we could review in larger font and be able to comment on it.
Do you want that now or in September in September?